I saw that you updated your LinkedIn as podcast
I liked
host.
it. I liked it.
I saw that.
And then I saw Bryce as my recommended, and I added her.
That's funny. Welcome back to Can You Not episode 25, a quarter of the way to 100. We are back here at my apartment as per usual. I do have some good news. Our video game episode, The Woman Warriors and Booty Shorts, is now our third most popular episode ever.
Weird.
Followed by our first two episodes ever. So that's pretty good. Nice job.
Butts.
We got a couple replies when I posted them. As to whether video games are or are not art. Chris says, I believe games can be art, beautiful landscapes being a primary factor. I spent hours just admiring the setting of Red Dead Redemption, which is like a Western game.
I've never heard of it.
And Joshua says, most things in this world can be considered art, but only if you put your heart and soul into the art. That is the difference between art and a piece of paper. It is the feelings and time placed into it.
I think you need to consult the Dada movement. Friend, what's his name?
Joshua.
Friend Joshua. You need to look into Dada.
I like Dada.
I do too, but Dada does not fit that description.
What is Dada?
It was a movement. Look it up. It's great. They had a toilet and they turn it upside down and then they put it in the art gallery. And
it was
the
kind of like
art.
the precursor to like
okay.
the big surreal movement.
Okay.
It was the idea that anything can be art. It's cool. Dadaism is rad. Look it up, friend Joshua.
Friend Joshua. I give calling our listeners friend. So it's almost like calling him like,
Okay, my friend.
Brother Hamish. We have like friend
I
Joshua.
see my brain jumped to comrade.
Oh, comrades.
Comrade Joshua.
You millennial socialist communist. You
I thought you were going to call me slime or something. You millennial slime.
Since we're talking about airplanes, as we should probably mention.
Oh yeah, we did not mention the topic. It was Jesse chose the theme for this week, which we are continuing to do after our last couple episodes, and he chose the airline industry. Take it away, Jesse.
So
Is that an airline industry noise?
I don't know. So I was thinking of topics to choose, and once again I spared you guys from wrestling, as you both would have killed me for. Yes. So I was thinking, what is something that most of us use in our lifetime?
A pencil.
Joe.
Sorry.
I'm thinking usually you either ride in a car, a bus, some kind of thing, right? But more and more people are flying. And it's becoming a bigger thing as globalization develops even more. So I found this cool article about a solar-powered airplane.
God, that was my topic.
See, I told you it was gonna be.
I have a backup plan. It'll be fine.
For the second time ever, we have a same topic chosen.
A solar-powered airplane, and it landed in Seville, Spain.
That seems like a brilliant idea.
Yes, the wingspan is bigger than a Boeing, and it has an incredible amount of solar panels on the wings.
It doesn't weigh more than a car, and it has the wingspan of a Boeing.
Oh, so we're talking like 2-passenger kind of thing?
No, it's one
passenger.
passenger.
Just one person. Okay.
One passenger, and it made its departure from Dubai in 2015, and landing in Spain. Another gentleman will be flying back to Dubai to complete the whole worldwide trip.
Wow.
And it just breaks grounds. It has 17,000 solar cells built into the wings, and I couldn't find any other article that would expand upon these ideas, but I find it's fascinating that you could have this kind of technology to fuel or energize a flight like this. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if this could be economically sustainable to expand in the industry, or would the industry decide not to partake in this?
So while I was reading about it today, there are a lot of articles about it, so I was on a different one than you probably. And while I was reading it, it actually sounds like they don't plan to commercialize this. What they want to do with it is, because navigating is really hard. You have to stay in the sun, obviously, so you have these people who are constantly monitoring the weather, who have to be online with this person just all the time. to go all the way around like big, like, I don't know, storms or whatever. So what they are mostly using it as, or what I understand that they're using it as, is a like an advertising thing. They want to show people, they want to get people excited about green power or something. Like it's supposed to be a knowledge spreader. And what I thought was interesting is that in the age of the internet, like I didn't even know about this until I started looking it up on, like I literally put airplanes into Google News and hit go, like trying to find something. Yeah, Jesse did the same thing. So that's why we ended up with the same topic, because our methods are very similar. But what I thought was interesting was just like in the age of technology, with instant information the way we have it, I was just wondering how successful that effort would have been. Like, because if the whole idea is to like raise awareness, well, I wasn't aware, so I don't know how far that reaches.
Yeah. Well, it's a little sad to say, but I think as with any of these technologies, the more cool you make it, the more people will get on board with it. Because you can explain all you want about how it's like in 50 years it's going to revolutionize stuff, blah, blah, blah. But until you make it cool, like no one's going to care, I think, in terms of the general public, you know. And I was just saying the other day that Columbus decided to put $40 million into green and self-driving technology into their city. And again, like, if they had just invested in general sort of stuff, would have been like, would anyone have even noticed? They'd be like, okay. But the fact that they're doing it into something that people are actually going to see, like buses or taxis or whatever they're trying to do with it, that makes people go, oh, wow, that's cool. I'm on board with this. Or, you know, or maybe they're terrified of it too. But it got attention, you know, and I think Elon Musk does this super well because he took SpaceX and Tesla, like two ideas that were already kind of had some sort of backing behind them, and he just made it so cool that people had to pay attention, and people suddenly got on board with these ideas that had been floating around for a while, I think.
Well, I think the difference is I know who Elon Musk is, and I have no idea about this airplane. Like, and that's kind of what I mean. Like, I think what Elon Musk really had going for him with his projects was, no, not that. It was in the United States. Like, it was in the United States, so obviously I hear more about it than I do from what happens in other countries, because the media is really cool. But the other thing too is just that he's good at marketing it. Yeah. You know, like his marketing team was obviously really, really on point. Whereas, well, I'm not saying like I said, like I don't get media like I should because I'm in the United States and most things are U.S. based. But I'd never heard of this. So maybe it is a big deal in other countries, you know, I don't know. But I wonder how much money we put into novelties like this and if they could be better spent in other ways, I guess. I don't know.
What I found interesting about this is you could kind of speculate and go into like fantasy thinking. Could the airline industry do some kind of hybrid approach where they do have some kind of solar energy combined with fuel? And do it in an efficient manner to, I don't know, make flying greener. You know what I mean? I was just thinking, like, you can really think beyond just this model. Like, what could you do to improve this? So I thought it was really interesting, and I think it could revolutionize the industry and the way we fly, too.
Well, it's kind of a good middle finger to all those people who say that, like, solar power can't even power, like, a car sustainably, you know? You know, all these people, they're saying, like, wow, the return is so tiny on these things, but like the technology is getting better and better, and we've seen within the past 10, 15 years the amount that they've been able to reap from the advancement of solar technologies is really cool to see. And so I think, as with anything, it's going to get smaller, it's going to get faster, it's going to get better, and so maybe you're right, maybe it will like become a more common thing. We just don't know it yet. I don't know. Because
what I think a lot of the people who criticize it are doing is they're using old facts, because this technology is advancing so quickly, and it not in the too distant future it wasn't worthwhile, because the turnover rate with energy, you only get a percentage of what you put into it, I guess. So if you get 100% of the sun shines down on it, you can only convert a certain percentage of that into electricity. And that's just that's why you can't put a turbine on top of your car and drive and have a perpetual motion machine, because you have 100% of the wind blowing in the turbine, but you're only harnessing maybe 50% of it and turning it into electricity. But with this kind of thing, I think the solar panels on the airplane is kind of cool, but where I really, really think we can make progress is, instead of trying to put the solar power onto things, like onto cars and onto airplanes. Instead of doing that, we can make those things electric and then make the electricity that we put into them green. So instead of having to have this moving thing, this mobile thing that you constantly have to make sure is in the stream of the sunlight, you power a battery or something, and then you have the solar panels in the middle of the desert somewhere. But that's my opinion.
And I think opponents to this would say, hey, exchanging or alternating batteries might take a longer time of preparation for flight-to-flight situations from airports. You know
Charging
what I mean?
a battery?
Well, charging a battery, replacing the battery, and if they're having some kind of backup fuel source, do they have to also check that as well if they don't want to 100% rely upon
I want to see how big
electricity?
an airplane battery would be. That's got to be absolutely monstrous.
I bet they do. Well, I don't know how that would work, actually.
Because, you know, I mean, you would also have to check, like, can these batteries withstand really cold temperatures and, like, altitudes and stuff like that has to be tested.
Did they specifically say it's going through battery?
It has to be stored somewhere.
There's no,
Yeah, because the way that solar power works is it's photovoltaic is the energy conversion. So light hits the board and then it makes stuff happen, and then that electricity flows, but it's not regulated. Like, you know, there's a certain voltage coming out of that outlet, and if it's too different from that, your appliances won't work. So what it has to do is they take this irregular electricity and then they put it somewhere, like in a battery, and that can regulate the voltage and the wattage that comes out of that. So that way it actually functions and you don't have these fluctuating airplane instruments. That would be terrifying. Your rotor is going a little faster and then a little slower, you know. No, I think I read that he was able to fly for like 4 hours through a cloudy place because but this thing has a Boeing wing length and it weighs less than a car. You know, it's very small compared to commercial things. Right. But
I even think about like how much like one of those little tiny one-passenger gasoline-powered ones go, and I don't think you could get 4 hours even with...
The cool thing about airplanes, though, is that they don't always have to be running, I don't think, because they glide, you know? So I don't know, I'm speculating, but that could have also played into
I think you can minimize your energy output.
Yeah, because you glide, and with cars, that's like coasting doesn't
like in neutral
work super well. Yeah, or just like, you know, when you take your foot off the gas and you roll forward anyway.
Yeah, and time. Oh, that went quick.
Someone was in their wheelhouse with science.
I majored in this for 2 years,
and yet
alternative energies.
Not 20 minutes ago, you said you hated science.
It was a joke. I said science is stupid is what I said, and sometimes it is. You did.
No, I didn't.
Some science things are dumb. Like swimming cars are dumb. That's all. The FAA just approved a flying car prototype. We have a flying car now. It's really ugly looking. Like, you have to look it up. Because it just looks like this airplane that it's like a fat airplane. Like, it ate too much McDonald's. And it's so weird. But what happened was, their highway safety requirements, and then I think the FAA regulates flight stuff, and it doesn't quite meet the standards of either one, but both made exceptions because where it didn't meet a standard on one set of safety requirements, it met the standard on the other one. So it's like this super big, it's like a real hybrid between these two things. But I think the wings fold up above it like this, just directly above it when it drives. But it can both drive on the highway and fly. Hooray, it's the future? I don't...
I'm gonna disagree, just because I see like an article about these kind of things like once every couple of years, and it's like, they seem so cool.
Do you
and
think?
Like, I mean, in theory, I think the idea is cool, and that's why like it seems like a natural idea, you know, with how far we've come with air travel, to be like, you know, like that was always like the dream. You always see like these old things from like the 50s and 60s and 40s and whatever. They're like, and soon everyone will have a whirly bird on their roof so they can ride to work, and little Jimmy can go to school. And it's like, it's been like this long held dream in our lives so long, and I just don't see it actually ever happen. I feel like the regulations would be so crazy. I mean, we're having problems enough trying to regulate little tiny drones, but like full on.
It's so goofy looking.
It kind of looks like something from an anime show.
It's gonna turn into a person next.
Is that Speed Racer driving that?
Oh my god. No, I don't think they mean to like mass produce it. I think it's supposed to be for like rich people with too much money. Like, I have a flying car, y'all. Like, but it's just, I think it's so silly. But this is another novelty thing.
I think even in a couple hundred years, I don't think you're gonna see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I'd rather get like a car helicopter because I don't have to like go down a runway to take off a helicopter.
Yeah, or like the concept of a drone where it's like a quadcopter kind of thing.
I want a drone to just pick me up by the back of my shirt and fly me places.
Like
We've talked about
Lord
drones
of the
before,
We have talked about drones.
and I do not like drones.
What about the flying car?
Yeah, what about flying cars?
What about this weird car that looks like the Jetsons?
I mean-
It's
Like,
basically a plane with wings that fold up. It's not really that.
But
much of a
let's
car.
not pretend like I wouldn't drive that, though. If you really think about it, exactly.
You'd have to get a license, like a flying license. That would be.
you
tough.
probably would need a flying license, but you could. What if I just
It
would
looks
drive
like
it around?
a meme. It looks
It
like
looks
a meme.
so silly.
I mean, at this point, though, we've come so far with like autopilot and stuff like that that maybe it would get to a point where you could just program it and you wouldn't have to get
The
like a
problem, like I said though, is where you're gonna take off from and where you're gonna land.
Yeah.
That's why I said helicopter. If this were a car helicopter, I would be on board. Then I wouldn't need a garage. I could land it on my roof. It'd be
But then
awesome.
all the roofs would have the
Not
the
mine.
helicopters.
I'd be the only. I'm gonna invent it. No, I'm not. There's no way. But
And since we're all rich, we'll of course have them.
yeah, I'm
before
just
anyone
gonna be
else.
rolling in money.
I feel like your roommate, our friend James, would own this.
Crap.
He'd have a Roomba inside of it.
No.
Doing-
No.
Why?
That's awful. No, but I.
I mean, this would change.
What if you accidentally hit the button while you're on the highway and the wings started coming out? And you're like, oh no.
I mean,
Oh no. And like the other cars have to like dodge out of the way. Oh no.
falling rock.
You just very slowly take off. And you're just like,
I mean,
no.
put the car washes out of business because you just fly through.
Yeah, if you like go
a
past
rain
somebody you know
cloud.
you don't like, you just hit the button. You just like bop them on the head with the wings. It'd be good.
It would also be equally as terrible if you accidentally folded up the wings while you were flying. Though you just dropped like a rock to the
Oh,
ground.
no. I think there's probably. I hope there's a safety on it that doesn't let you bring the wings in until you're stationary. That's dangerous. It's probably also dangerous to put them out while you're moving. Honestly,
They're
Now
probably
that I think about
dangerous.
it.
Period. Probably.
They don't look safe.
I feel like this is the type of, oh my gosh. So you know those Astro vans that are from the 80s and 90s? They kind of look like rape vehicles.
Yeah.
And in the county we grew up in, they were the ones that were maroon colored and rusted
Yeah.
out. Those kind
There's a
of things.
website
Yeah.
called astrovan.com.
Yes. So I feel like it looks like that. And if there were more flying vehicles, it would be the Astrovan.
Plot
What?
twist.
Get out of there. What is
Oh my
that?
God, I wanna
That's
know
creepy.
more.
That is so
Until
creepy.
the violence
it?
against civilians.
Okay, so if you go to the Astrovan website, it's just it says Aleppo is burning. So much people dying day by day in Syria.
Someone hacked astrovan.com.
Or Astrovan has opinions.
Or they bought the rights to it and they're like, this is where I move my platform. All the people who are going to Astrovan will get my message.
This
and
is
it's like, let's
the
go
most
to Astrovan.
disconcerting thing that's
It's
happened
so
to me all
creepy.
day.
Until the violence against civilians. Well, hold on. You will never find any information about the Astrovan here. This is a sign of protest
Someone
against the war in
hacked
Syria.
astrovan.com.
Wow.
Oh my
Revelations.
gosh. Why Astrovan?
But basically, that flying vehicle, if there was more flying vehicles like that, it would be the Astrovan of flying vehicles.
Are Astrovans that popular in Syria that there's just like massive traffic that they
I
had to
don't
snap
know.
it
Or
up?
like the person who owned this. Maybe this isn't official Astrovan. Maybe somebody's just really into Astrovans
that's what I'm
and they have
thinking.
lots of opinions about.
That's so creepy.
It's just this red screen with this black text
I feel like
on
you
it.
should stop going on it
Circa
because you could get hacked.
1995.
I don't think I'm gonna get hacked. It's fine.
Only on Bing.
Oh
I get points on Bing, but I'm not here to advertise them. Look at this flying car. I don't.
It's like, I'm off to find all the women.
If you go to the Business Insider website, they have on the website on the article they have a GIF of it like driving and then flying, and it's just really silly.
Amber, you thought
looking.
traffic was bad on the way here now. Imagine traffic while flying on the way here.
It would have taken an hour to take off. I would have had to go through the gate security at the airport to get on my car airplane. Yeah, that's what, even if it takes a while to change the battery in the airplane, like, it's not like the people are in a hurry anyway, because it's going to take 2 hours to get through little wand waiver people, so, you know, it's fine. That's what they do.
You have to remove your shoes to get to your car.
Oh, no.
It's like...
Oh, no.
So, can people have a Mile High club in these cars?
Oh.
I suppose.
It wouldn't be much of a club. 'Cause I don't
It'd be
think
just a
very many...
room.
I hope it autopilots. Because if it doesn't,
half
it's
the
not
fun.
really gonna... I don't know about that. Well, to be fair, though, if you turn the wheel weird, unless you're, like, in active air traffic, like, probably you won't crash. That's the good news.
Would you have to buy your own complimentary peanuts and just stock them up in the glove compartment?
What kind of Mile High club are you talking about?
I'm not talking about Mile High at this point. I'm just
He's talking
in
about the
general.
Pixar Mile High club.
With peanuts.
And this,
I'm just talking about flying in general.
the newest fetish to come out, plane play.
Weird. I feel like it's probably not new. I feel like it's probably... There's a Mile High club, so...
There's got to be more.
Probably.
And they
There are probably
probably already done
weirder
that in
ones,
there.
too.
I'm disturbed.
I just am remembering that one guy who, like, was in a relationship with his car.
Oh my god, I saw the documentary. Did you see a documentary?
No,
of it?
I just
There's a
saw
whole
GIFs of it.
documentary?
There's a documentary of it. And
I remember seeing, like, a still of the tailpipe of the car.
It's gross because, yes, in the documentary, the
No.
guy that's like, hey, I'm going to go with you to this convention where all of you car lovers are going to be. It's somewhere in the South. I don't know where. And so he's just like in his hotel and he wakes up the next morning. And I guess there was another guy there too.
Yeah.
And they were friends. And he cheated and did things with that car.
What? I feel like
And
this is like scripted.
he woke up and he's like, how could you do that to my car? And it was not scripted. Like, they have romances with their vehicles and sexual relations with them too.
What?
If that wasn't explicit enough.
I mean, cars sometimes are weirdly
no,
anthropomorphized.
no, stop.
We're not
Stop.
talking about Transformers fanfic. We're talking about a dude and a car that does
I'm
not.
saying,
Stop.
there is you read articles by car designers and they're like, yeah, we intentionally make like cars kind of look like faces oftentimes.
That's way different, though. Lots of things look like faces.
I'm not justifying
Drain
it.
pipe covers look like
I'm not
faces
justifying.
sometimes.
I'm saying they keep it. I just think it is interesting that they keep that in mind. You know, when they're
I don't think they
designing
keep
cars.
quite that in mind.
They
I think
do.
not
When they're looking at the tailpipe.
Well, not like that. I mean, like they don't.
That's the whole point of it, Joe.
I know. I'm just saying. I was trying to make a loose.
The
connection.
good news is that at least only rich people with that fetish can do that with this airplane car. So at least we don't have to worry about the airplane cars
I
as
hope
much.
it plays Nelly Furtado every time it lifts off. I want to fly away.
Or I want to
Get away. I want to fly away.
It plays it on loudspeakers on the outside. Like,
So you just feel like, oh great, it's that guy. You just say,
God, I hate that guy.
every morning.
If it was like, they would know it's me because it's like playing Creed. It's, can you take me higher?
Not Creed.
Just
Damn it,
pipes for
Jesse.
days.
You're back at it again. Damn, Jesse, you're back at it
Fly like an
again.
eagle to the sea. It's just
Oh my.
you're flying over the lake, like, yeah.
I'm just like this. I'm just like a seagull.
Like a seagull on the gull of the sea.
That was
Okay.
fun.
Yeah. So you said you wanted to. That was a week one. That turned out to be fun.
That was great. Man, what a wild ride.
But I'm gonna
Literally.
take things down a second as I talk about our brand new sponsor. It's called Unfade. It's a brand new app. It actually just came out last month. But it's made by the same people who made the app ScanBot, which is a mobile scanner app. So they've been building this app based on years of experience because the ScanBot app essentially scans pictures. And so, but this takes it to the next level. With Unfade, you can take your old pictures that are falling apart, photo albums. I mean, how many of those do you have stacked up where it's just these old pictures lying in these old binders and stuff? well, now you can digitize them using this app, and it will try to make them look brand new again. They have all kinds of filters. They have detection where they can help take out some of the flaws, and it's super simple. All you literally need to do is just like take a picture of it, and it's high quality, it's fast, lossless editing. So if you want to check out the Unfade app, it just came out on iTunes, like I said, a couple weeks ago. You can go through all your old pictures, and you don't have to send them off to somebody who knows. You don't want to trust your prized family pictures with a stranger, or you don't want to sit at a scanner for 5 hours doing it all. So get Unfade today. So my topic, I was looking up controversial topics in airline industries and stuff, and I came across all different kinds of weird ones. Like I was telling Jesse, like one that was like a thing was the fact about using just regular car motor oil inside of planes and whether that's okay or not. But there are like all these things that I could not potentially even talk about because like how are we gonna have a discussion about that? But I did find one that I thought was kind of interesting. This is an article back from 2009. They were talking about some illegal aliens who had been arrested for working at a federal government aircraft manufacturer. They had somehow gotten fake paperwork and stuff like that to say that they were that they had the experience to be able to work on these planes, and they didn't. But the Department of Homeland Security apparently says that between looking at investigation of 196 airports, they have found more than 5,800 unauthorized airport workers, and that's led to 1,000 arrests in that. So I think it's kind of interesting because obviously I'm no Donald Trump. Like I think illegal aliens should have a place here and that they should be able to work. But it is a little scary when they're working on planes that they don't have experience with, and it's...
Well, that's I feel like that's an argument. Well, the thing is, they wouldn't have to fake the documentation if they didn't need to fake the documentation. Like, they could get a job that they were qualified for if they didn't have to fake documentation for every single job that they could possibly get.
Absolutely.
So,
it's already an uphill battle.
Yeah, so if you don't want people to lie, give them somewhere to work. I don't know. It is super sketchy. That is really unnerving, but I don't fly very often. But did anything bad happen because of?
Not that I saw within this article, but who knows? I mean, you don't ever know, like, the results. I mean, a lot of airplane crashes are due to little tiny things that we just, get overlooked.
Usually airplane crashes happen because of a lack of communication between the pilot and their second in charge. And also, if there is an emergency, usually it's because they have problem communicating to air traffic control what their emergency is. And that's the reason why there's usually these crashes at sea or something like that.
Right.
Or even, I don't know, missing the runway. It's because they can't communicate correctly.
Honestly, I'm amazed that as many flights happen without any error as they do. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong.
It's safer than driving a car.
Like, aren't the statistics that, like, far, far, far less people die in airplane crashes?
But a lot fewer people fly, too.
That is true.
So it's a lot. I mean, I know a huge amount of people have to fly places, but, like, know, I've flown round trip maybe 3 times in my life, and I drive my car every day. So I think that statistic makes sense. I bet if we had car planes, there would be a lot more crashes, but especially with just the number of people who have to be involved in this.
Yeah. I wonder if you did account for the ratio. I wonder how much safer, or maybe it wouldn't be safer anymore. I don't know.
They may have accounted for that ratio, like in when they did the statistics, not for your article necessarily, but when they do the statistics, they might account for that. But I still think that plays a part.
So the question is, what is the solution to this issue then?
It's so tricky.
Yeah, not of the crashes, but of your topic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, how do you solve this issue?
I mean, like, it's like, I think Amber kind of touched upon it. Like, if you give people the jobs that they are really good at and that they know they can do, or at least be able to train to do with, obviously working on an airplane probably takes more training than lots of other jobs that would be super accessible if we weren't being so stingy about all the paperwork? Do you have your birth certificate? Do you have proof of, all this stuff?
Well, I think it's just the idea of if we didn't make people feel the need to resort to faking things, then they probably wouldn't care enough to work on the airplane. I'm also interested in, as opposed to other jobs, I'm also interested in what their actual job was. Like, do you know what they were doing? Because if it could have been something technical that was very similar to working on a car, and they might have known how to work on cars.
That's true.
It could have been really up their alley, actually. But
yeah, because if we could get some kind of context, I guess that would...
Yeah, the way they phrase it is, it just says working at aircraft maintainer Timco at Piedmont Triad Airport in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Because that could have been hosing down the airplane.
Oh, well,
you know what I mean?
This is BS,
true.
though, because they follow it by saying, and then arrested 14 more working as janitors at the airport.
I was about to say this could also be the restaurant workers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Custodial staff at the airports, not necessarily the people that are doing air traffic control.
Yeah, and didn't you say maintenance?
Maintenance or mechanics.
Yeah, maintenance and mechanics seem to be a big part of it.
Maintenance and mechanics, that sounds like it just covers everybody who keeps the airplane running. That could literally be somebody who has to go on the airplane with a garbage can and pick up the peanut wrappers.
Yeah. Do you think the employer's at least somewhat to blame? Do you think...
Yes.
Because I feel like...
They knew what they were getting into when they hired these people.
They had to have known they were saving money. They're like, well, we'll take a shot and stuff like that.
I don't know that, but I still think most of the blame is on... Well, and honestly, even if the employers did know, maybe they're on our team and they're like, well, let's just... Because if it was a really low qualification job,
right,
then... They probably... It does, because I feel like something really bad would have happened if somebody who is underqualified was given an important job. So I don't think it was that. But even if the employers did know that they were illegal, maybe they hired them because they knew that they were humans who needed jobs.
Yeah. Just decent people.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the whole immigration issue as a whole is really, 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 really tricky. But, for all these people who always say, it's just as easy as, why don't they just go through the laws? Why don't they just go through it? It's not as easy as that. When there's literally, so many hoops that these people have to jump through that it's it almost doesn't, sometimes you don't even get through the system. Or sometimes it takes years to go through the system.
So, circling back this conversation to airlines and your topic, I wonder if they couldn't fill these positions because Americans don't want to do the jobs. I know that myth has been used a lot for other fields of work, but at the same token, it holds true. Many of these Americans don't want to be in the fields harvesting plants.
Yeah.
If it's not their own farm, if it's a corporation farm, they don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like this could be the same thing, because when I go to airports personally, it does feel like hell there. The environment sucks. It's one of those public places where there's tons of people going in and out. You know what I mean? You have to be a self-motivated and really ready for anything kind of person. Even working janitor, you know what I mean? Cleaning bathrooms. Public bathrooms are gross in itself, but imagine airport public bathrooms.
Not envious.
It's crazy.
And especially all the people you interact with are going to be mad. It does not matter. They have to get through is it the TSA? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The security people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are treated like garbage. The turnover rate's awful. And all the customers are already mad. Everything's overpriced. They're mad about that. Everybody's on edge because they got to get somewhere, and then you have to work there with them trying to make their experience good.
You pretty much experience people at their worst. They either are going to somewhere really awesome and have just want to get there and don't want to deal with the BS along the way, or they're going to something really important. For the most part, most people would fit into one of those two categories, a meeting or something like that, and they don't want to be there either. So you're dealing with people who just do not want to be in this spot. Yeah,
and then it's nothing. People never want things to be their own faults. Then they have to yell at people.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, I think, just circling back to the immigration thing, I don't know. I think if we didn't make them fake paperwork to get food in their mouths,
absolutely,
then they wouldn't, And I'm sure, some people would, but people fake things, people fake IDs all the time to get what they want, but that's not an immigration problem, so.
Right. like we said, we don't know anything about, maybe they actually were super qualified to work on these planes, but they just, like even as like actually like fixing the plane and stuff like that, but we don't know because the article is very vague and very kind of about details of that.
And this wouldn't be an issue if we made college affordable.
That's true too.
Or these little, I don't know if there's training classes at community colleges for this or four-year institutions, you know what I mean? Or
technology degree. Same as my wind degree, except you do one for aviation probably.
Okay.
So there you go. And if you made it more affordable, I think there would be more Americans doing this. But clearly, for some reason, they cut corners.
That's also just how people think about things. Nobody's getting technology degrees. The skilled trades are aging, and there aren't people coming up to take, because everybody has to go to college. That's the paradigm. But,
I was going to say, no one wants to fix ACs or be plumbers.
That's where there's lots of money in that, too.
And I guess we're part of the problem, because none of us want to do that either.
Well,
but
I mean...
I tried.
She can work turbines. She has a degree.
That's true. Yeah, I could do. I just wasn't done with school
She does
yet,
have a new age blue collar degree. You do.
Yeah, I do. Go team. But I'd have to move to Alabama, and I didn't really want to do that yet.
Ew.
So.
With a banjo on your knee.
That'd be cool, but I can't afford a banjo, so.
You can buy a washboard.
Perhaps just an ukulele. Yeah, or a washboard. A triangle.
Yes, I do need a triangle. That's true.
Ding.
I remember this old dude that I knew when I was growing up who went to my family's church said that he went to an orchestra performance once, and some of the people afterward were packing stuff up, and he went over to the triangle player and he's like, "How long did you have to train to learn triangle?" And he's like, "I don't know, it's actually kind of hard, it's he was trying to justify it a lot,
he was a percussion person.
Yeah, he does other percussion, but he just was doing triangle through that whole show and stuff. So
it's about the wrist.
We respect you, triangle players. So what did we learn today?
So I learned that solar energy is cool, and there's a future in green energy and in aviation, and possibly a cool, cohesive marriage between the two of them.
I learned that the Astro van guy has lots of opinions about Syria.
Stop the war. I learned that they should look more into this matter about these, maybe, and reform the whole immigration process so that it's easier for people to get in and it's not as big of a hassle. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Reform it in a good way, not in a bad way. Not I saw Jesse giving me a look like,
we're not gonna pull out of the EU or anything. But,
oh yeah, that just happens.
But we could probably do something about it.
If you want to check us out, you can go to iTunes. We're under Can You Not under the podcast section. And also rate us on there. If you give us a rating, we will read it on the actual podcast. If you have any feedback, too, on the episode, go to canyounotpodcast@gmail.com. Give us your comments. What do you think about the war in Syria or about flying cars?
Also, if you want us to talk about something, you can give us a theme, and we will come up with something like flying cars.
And we might have some exciting opportunities on the horizon, but we'll keep hush-hush about that right now. You can also go to Soundcloud at soundcloud.com/C.Y.N podcast. I don't know if you heard that. The door just
Jesse just woke up.
Can that door not?
Can that flying car please not?
Can we please use solar energy? I can't say can you not to that.
Yeah, can you please?
Can you please?
We're going to start a separate podcast called Can You Pretty Please?
CYPP?
And we're done. And we're done. And done.